The hardest lessons are often the ones we never see coming, but they shape who we become. Sometimes the most painful lessons come from those we love the most, and they stay with us longer than we'd like. You taught me that growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confronting the hard truths. The lessons that break us often build us in ways we can't see until much later. Through your actions, I learned that trust is fragile, but the strength to rebuild it is even more powerful. You showed me that it's not always the mistakes that matter, but the lessons we take from them. The most valuable lessons are those that challenge everything we thought we knew about ourselves. Sometimes, the people who hurt us the most teach us the most important lessons about our own strength. You taught me that it's okay to let go even when it feels like everything is falling apart. The toughest lessons are the ones that make us question everything we believed in until we find a deeper truth. You helped me see that self-love is not a luxury, but a necessity for growth and healing. Every mistake I've made with you has been a stepping stone to a stronger version of myself. Sometimes, the most painful lessons are the ones that teach us the most about forgiveness. What you taught me wasn't just a lesson, it was a transformation of how I see myself and the world. I used to believe love was easy, but you taught me it requires patience, understanding, and sometimes letting go. The hardest lesson I learned was that not everything is meant to last, but that doesn't make it any less meaningful. You showed me that strength isn't about never falling, but about always getting back up. The most impactful lessons come when we're forced to face our fears and step into the unknown. You taught me that healing isn't linear, it's messy, unpredictable, and worth every moment. In the end, it's not the mistakes that define us, but how we rise from them and continue forward. You taught me that sometimes the hardest thing to do is to walk away, but it's the only way to grow. What I once saw as a failure, you helped me see as a vital part of my journey toward growth. You showed me that even the toughest lessons can lead to the most beautiful transformations. I learned from you that it's okay to outgrow people and situations that no longer serve you. The hardest lesson you taught me was to stop searching for validation outside myself. What you taught me wasn't easy, but it's a lesson I carry with me every day. You taught me that the most important relationship is the one I have with myself. The lessons that hurt the most are often the ones that lead to the greatest breakthroughs. You made me realize that I am stronger than I ever gave myself credit for. Through you, I learned that even the most painful endings can lead to new beginnings. You showed me that I am responsible for my own happiness, no one else. The hardest lessons come when we least expect them, but they shape us in ways we can never imagine. You taught me that letting go is a form of self-love, not weakness. I learned from you that it's okay to take risks, even if it means facing fear and uncertainty. Sometimes the most valuable lesson is realizing that you have the power to change your own narrative. You taught me that healing is a process, and sometimes it takes time to truly understand the lesson. The lessons that sting the most are often the ones that make us the most resilient. You showed me that love isn't about perfection, but about growth, understanding, and acceptance. I learned that sometimes the most difficult moments are the ones that teach us the most about who we really are. Through you, I learned that it's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you rise after. You taught me that patience with myself is just as important as patience with others. The hardest lesson I learned was that I have to let go of the past to truly embrace the future. You made me realize that I am capable of more than I ever believed. Sometimes the toughest lessons come wrapped in pain, but they're the ones that lead to the most growth. You showed me that the most important thing I can do is forgive, not for others, but for my own peace. I learned that life is full of unexpected lessons, and sometimes the most powerful ones are the ones we resist. You taught me that it's okay to not have all the answers, and that seeking growth is the real goal. What you taught me wasn't just about love, it was about understanding, respect, and knowing when to let go. The hardest lessons are the ones that force us to change, but they're the ones that lead to the most profound growth. You showed me that healing doesn't mean forgetting, it means learning to move forward with strength. Through you, I realized that it's okay to make mistakes, as long as we learn from them. You taught me that the most meaningful transformations often happen when we face our darkest moments. Sometimes, the hardest lessons are the ones that teach us the most about who we truly are. I learned that growth isn't linear, it's a winding road full of setbacks and breakthroughs. You showed me that to love others, I must first learn to love and accept myself. What you taught me is that true strength comes from being vulnerable and embracing your weaknesses. Through you, I learned that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply let go. You made me realize that my happiness is my own responsibility, and I no longer need anyone's permission to be happy. The toughest lessons are the ones that help us become the person we were always meant to be. You showed me that the most beautiful things come when we stop chasing them and let them find us. I learned that embracing uncertainty is the key to unlocking the greatest potential within us. You taught me that everything we go through, no matter how hard, has a purpose in our journey. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones that teach us to be kinder to ourselves. You showed me that what feels like the end is often just the beginning of a new chapter. I learned that pain isn't something to avoid, but something to understand and learn from. What you taught me is that it's not about avoiding the storm, but learning how to dance in the rain. Through you, I learned that true peace comes from accepting things we cannot change. You taught me that sometimes we need to break in order to rebuild stronger and wiser. I learned that real growth comes from making peace with the things we cannot control. You showed me that my past doesn't define me, but it shapes the person I am becoming. Sometimes the lessons that hurt the most are the ones that teach us the value of self-worth. You taught me that the real power lies in choosing to let go of the things that hold us back. Through you, I learned that every challenge is an opportunity to discover a new strength within myself. You showed me that true love is about acceptance, not about trying to change someone. I learned that the most powerful thing we can do is forgive, not for them, but for our own peace of mind. What you taught me is that even when we feel lost, we're exactly where we need to be to learn what we must. You taught me that happiness is not found in things, but in moments of peace and contentment. Sometimes the greatest lesson comes from the people who push us to our limits, only for us to find our strength. You showed me that every experience, good or bad, has something to teach us if we're willing to learn. I learned that the real gift is not what we gain, but what we give. Our love, our time, our understanding. What you taught me is that true freedom comes when we stop seeking validation and start listening to our own hearts. Through you, I learned that sometimes the best way to heal is to embrace the discomfort and let it transform us. You showed me that the best way to move forward is to release the past with gratitude and embrace the present moment. I learned that healing doesn't happen overnight, but every step forward is progress. What you taught me is that it's okay to make mistakes as long as we're learning from them. You taught me that being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Through you, I learned that love is not about possession, but about freedom and trust. I learned that sometimes we need to distance ourselves from toxic situations to truly grow. You showed me that everything in life is temporary, And that's why we must cherish every moment. What you taught me is that personal growth comes from stepping out of our comfort zones and into the unknown. You taught me that the most powerful lesson is learning to accept the things we cannot change. Through you, I learned that patience with others is important, but patience with myself is even more essential. I learned that no matter how difficult life gets, I have the strength to face it and rise above it. What you taught me is that self-compassion is key to overcoming life's toughest challenges. You showed me that sometimes the hardest thing to do is to be honest with myself, but it's the only way to heal. I learned that growth often comes with discomfort, but it's always worth the journey. What you taught me is that it's okay to not have all the answers, as long as we're seeking the right questions. You showed me that life isn't about avoiding pain, but learning to cope with it and move forward stronger. I learned that love isn't perfect, but it's about learning to grow together despite the imperfections. What you taught me is that change is the only constant, and embracing it is the key to personal growth.